Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we'll be having a look at how to update a 1.20.1 Forge to a 1.21.1 Neoforge mod. First of all, we'll have to do a lot of changes in the build.gradle file. Now we're moving all of the Forge, Gradle, Mixin and Parchment plugins and replacing it with the net.neoforged mod.dev plugin of version. Then we need to update the Java version used in the program and update a few of this commentary as well. Then Minecraft has to go and has to be replaced with Forge. Remove the mappings channel. Remove the copy IDE resources because it's required and cannot be changed here. You can also keep this. And we now need to add the version is equal to project new version. This will be available soon, as well as parchment mappings version is equal to project.parchment version, and Minecraft version is equal to project.minecraft.mc version. Yeah, there we go. Now in the runs, we can delete this, rename this to system property, and replace this with log level is equal to org slf4j dot event dot level dot one, or set it to debug if you wish. You can also remove this. Next, in the client run, we want to call client here so that Java data knows what client to run. Remove the property and rename this to program args. Program arguments.add all. And we can copy this and copy it over to everything, as well as calling server here. Removing the server, calling data here, removing this, and replacing this with program. Well, we have this, yes. Also, we need to update those files to get absolute path. And last, but not least, have to add the mods back, but at a different place. Now, further at the bottom, we can remove all dependencies and rename the Forge version to Neo version down here. And rename the files matching so it matches the Neoforge mods.toml and not the mods.toml anymore. Remove the Mixin config because this is handled by the Neoforge mods.toml now. And this is mostly it for the build.gradle. Next, we move on to the gradle.properties file, where we also have to change a lot. First of all, the version is now 1.20.1. The version range is 121 to 122. The Forge version, renamed to Neo version, is 21.1.208, or any Neo version if you wish. The version range is now 21, the loader version range is 4, and the parchment mapping version is 2024.11.17. And the rest can stay the same. Next, we can get to the settings.gradle file and remove the parchment.mc Maven repository because we don't need it anymore. With this, we come to the mods.toml, which has to be renamed to neoforge.mods.toml. You can do this with Shift and F6. And now it's neoforge.mods.toml. First of all, we have to add the Mixins block. And we also have to update the dependency to use Neoforge instead of Forge. Also, from the tutorialmod.mixins, we can now remove the ref map. The reference map is no longer needed in modern Neoforge versions and can be entirely ignored. With this, we can refresh Gradle and wait for it to sync. And next, we have to go to the settings of the project, so project structure, and select the 1.21's SDK if you haven't already. With this, all the Gradle changes have been completed, and your next tasks will be to update anything related to Java code, which has been, well, which is a lot, honestly. Where's the Minecraft dependency not there? All right, and with this, we are now done with the Gradle changes and can now go over to all the Java changes that have been made since this update. So first of all, we can delete all these classes which are under the Neoforge, the MicroForge package, and your IDE should mostly be able to re-import the classes that were removed. Next, we can add the iEvent bus to the constructor of your mod and do not need to gather it from a method. The resource location method you created has to be renamed to from namespace and path. And we have to go to these classes now. The mod attributes also get the same treatment of removing the imports, so the imports can fix themselves. We also need to update all these registries, and they are also our singular case, so I remove the S here. Registry objects have been replaced in favor of holders or deferred holders, as you will see with the items soon, as well as usage of attributes have been replaced with holder usage. And this is mostly related to the errors, and we have to move the add mod, and now this import itself. We also have to remove all .get calls over here. We'll get to the MobEffects in a second, but all of these .get calls have to go. And we have to remove the attached capabilities event because that's no longer necessary for our purposes. Then we can update all the imports. Back to the mod attributes, which has no longer any problems, and we can go over to the mod items. There we update the imports again, but in this case we also have to call default items history and call default create items, which does most of the stuff for us, so we can just import the mod ID. Now with this is a little bit of special. You have to use a deferred item and copy it over to all the other ones and update the create register in your abstract ammo item to also use deferred items. And we also have to update once again the imports to use the correct ones. Nice. And the material is now also a holder. Should automatically import itself. Thank you very much. As well as in the full set active method. Should also fix most of the errors. Now we remove the attribute modifiers. Those are handled via the new component system. We will take a look at this with the custom item we added in a second. The resource location has to also return the resource location now and has to return directly this. And we can now return resource location from namespace and path again. And this will create two issues, which we all can just, it does not like this. Thank you very much. And overrides the get armor texture again, which now requires a resource location and instead takes an armor layer, which is a little bit different. So we can just use this, return it here, and remove this. Get to the other problem, which is also over here, and do the same thing over here. Now the abstract armor item also added custom models, which you should follow the 1.21 version of the tutorials for, but we'll take a look at how to update it properly in a second. And this is all about the abstract armor item. Now we can go over to the custom client part of the model of the armor, and we'll just be copying some classes over instead of dealing with this. You can just override the copy specific files, and we want to add all of those to the thing, to Git. Our client extension, our model, our model class will be moved over here if it wants to. Otherwise, we can just remove this and make it ourselves, because the only difference is in the armor model to change all these 4 color parameters into one packed color parameter and insert this into all the other calls down here. Now we have taken the armor client extension from the 1.21 model tutorial and just need to update a few wrong imports, and this should mostly work the same. We just need to update the installation, which we'll have a look at in a second. We get to the events class, which also install the client extensions. We can also remove this and all the other things related to this, so we remain with only the make custom texture location method, and the two overrides have to remove these as well. So we can just remove this and update the imports. Now, to register in custom armor models in 1.21, if you haven't seen the 1.21 tutorial, we go to the client events, go to the change this, but that's not important. And you can first of all go to the mod client bus events, update all the imports. Actually, we don't need to update the imports. We can just copy all of these and import them to the clients class and remove the client bus events, because the client event bus handler, the event bus subscriber, can now automatically determine which bus it is registered to, so we don't need to do this manually. We also need to update this resource location to use with default namespace, and can now add our custom armor models. I just copy over the registration. We override, we hook onto the register client extensions event. Then we have a custom register armor extension method, which just takes in the map of armor item.type and the third item of t, which is just extends abstract armor item, the map of armor items to register, and then the event as well as an armor model provider. And that just does a very simple collect all deferred items of this map and add the armor client extension to every single one of those. And now we have a single model provider for the frozen place armor model, which does not like this apparently, which is weird, because this is probably wrong. Yeah, we have to update this. And the same is equal for a simple single piece armor model, because instead of just calling a register armor extension method, we just event.register item directly and do the same thing as down here, just with a single item instead. Now we get over to the shield, the custom shield item, which reduces every custom renderer. So we have to go to the Paladin shield and go to the item, which can now also reduce its initialize client method and gets its imports updated. And we also have to go to the mod block entity without level renderer, which is for some reason still working, because the Paladin shield model was not yet updated, because this uses yet again the packed color, and we have to update this So it is now rendered to buffer for this, which is also going to be an error here. And so pack colors just use this hexadecimal format. The first 2 bytes in the RGB format is the alpha, so how transparent it is. 255 means no transparency. And the next 2 hexadecimal bits are for red, and you know, red, green, blue is the order, so red, nope, green, and blue. And this would just be a white, fully opaque rendering. You can also, this is by the way also equal to, as this is 32-bit integers, just -1. So we can just leave it like this. With this, we have all the items, well, except the custom item updated, which we'll get to now. The custom item is a little bit difficult because we're going to add a custom attribute modifier for healing, which should add 100 of the custom heal attribute we added. So instead we have to do this in here with a item attribute builder.build, but we have to call .add on it with the mod attributes.heal attribute, a new attribute modifier which takes the resource location now. So we go to tutorial mod resource location heal. You can name this whatever you want, so it doesn't really matter. Next, besides the modifier, we need a amount which should be 100, and the operation is add value, replacement of addition. It's still going to be sad because we also need to define in which equipment group it is. So this will be equipment slot group.mainHand. Now we can delete the other method that was used before and update the imports. Next, we get to updating the advancement triggers, which is a little bit of a longer route because first of all, this has been replaced by a supplier because we now register them to a deferred register as one should be. No. Should of question mark. Registry is equal to deferred register create registries that trigger type, and of course tutorialmod.mod.id. As usual, the register method has to be updated to return a supplier of type T, and instead of calling criterion triggers at register, we call register and supply. We have to supply a string name in here, supply the name and the creator here. And in this case, the register method is called with the mana consumed tag. This is the first part, but the second part is a lot more complex. We have to remove the create instance method. So remove this. We have to update all of this, and therefore this I will be copying code. Basically, the entire class is getting replaced with a lot of changes. First of all, we have to do this instead. And we also need now a codec to store the trigger in JSON, because everything is being moved to codecs because they are arguably a lot better than manual JSON. And with the codec, you need to return the codec. This is also the dispatch for the registry. We have different methods to generate different criterions of this class. Is used in the advanced provider. We'll get to this in a second. We also updated the type and updated the instance to extend or implement the simple instance of the criterion trigger and the context-aware predicate of optional and so far and so forth. Yes, and with this we are done with the consumed criterion trigger. You'll find this on GitHub if this was too quick for you, and we'll get over to the advancement provider, which now just extends the normal advancement provider of Neoforge, not Minecraft, which is also deprecated, so use this one. This will also be a little bit different. It wants a generate method which does a little bit different. Yes, we have to update this to advancement holder instead. And we also have to update the imports to use the correct one. So this should be fine now. We can remove this method again because it was just that advanced holder. We now need to use mod criterion triggers that mana consumed get.any. And we also have to replace the new resource location with resource location with default namespace, of course, and the frame type is now advancement type task. And if we want to now actually execute any advancement trigger, we also need to call get. And that is about it. We also have to go to the advancement, well, the data generator, and update the imports again, as usual. We can also remove the bus now, because the bus is inferred, as mentioned earlier. And we can remove this, so the event bus subscriber gets imported. The mod block state provider is also just update, wait a second, let it import of Neoforge with Neoforge, mod blocks.test. This also has to be updated to use the correct imports registries. .block, singular case as usual, and deferred block, which is also why this needs to be deferred register.blocks. And we can use this to defer to create blocks, and we can remove this altogether. And this is done. With this, we can delete, close this, and close this. Get over to the mod registry provider, which is a little bit different. Remove this, it should be imported as, yep. Bootstrap, they have a typo here, so by just adding an R here, it should fix everything automatically. Besides the import, of course, which is updating the imports should fix. Same here. So just an R here, wait for it to complete and fix the imports. And last but not least, here as well. Now the biome tags provider, yet another quick update. And here as well, quick update. Registry object is defined with the third item, as it was before. Resource location with default namespace, deferred item, and that should be all of this done as well, this as well, this. Now the MobEffect is last. We just update the imports again, update the registry access to a single case, and then this is also a holder. And with this, we can update this, close that, close this, and this. And also inline the other events we had. The Modbus events can just be copied over and be added to the usual event handler. And we can delete the Modbus events class. This also needs to release its .get call. And with this, the event handler class is also working. I can go to the custom event and update its imports. Wait a second, and import the Neoforged bus API event class. And with this, next what we have to do is deal with the custom backpack item, which is a little bit more extensive in its changes, because we move away from capabilities which are difficult to handle and arguably inefficient to the new and much more improved data component system. For this, I'll also copy over a few classes. First of all, we rename this to component. Then we import the backpack content class. Another class we need to define and replace. Nope. This class should also be updated. This should be updated. And we add the mod data components class and add the data component type as a supplier here. So the backpack content can just be gotten from the registry as usual. And then back in the backpack item, we also have to apply the properties with a new component. mod data components dot backpack content and a new backpack content, which you have to define the non-null, and you can then just create with. And we want the properties to be here over here and int of size over here. Size, please, thank you. Return the properties here instead of letting it in, and then the size of, yeah, well, the size. Here we have to update this to use p dot, or rather, this has to be register item, and then we call new backpack item p, and the size of the backpack, in this case we use 27. Back to the backpack item, where we have to update this to check if the p level is client side is not the case. I want to, if that is not, we get the item in hand, which will just return super dot, not success, just super, please. Super dot use and the parameters used. And here we can just do player dot open menu, new so-called item bound container, another class we haven't created yet, so we just do this right now. And replace it with a lot of content. Most and foremost, it is basically a wraparound a container, the menu provider, so you get the access to the item stack, the type of the data component used, and construct a container. This is necessary because the data components have have a very special system which requires a any change to be updated on the item. So if we don't do this, this will cause a lot of problems. So we don't do this, we just use this instead, which requires first and foremost the size, the item in hand, the used data component, which is backpack contents, and a method to create a backpack content. Oh yeah, because we need to do this. Now it is also happy, and we can remove this. And now we also need to remove the backpack capabilities that were used in 1.20. This is the update for the backpack item. With this, last but not least, you also need to add the two custom new registries we added to the mod event bus, otherwise it is going to crash, as we know. Moving on to the commands, we get the commands register, which also needs to be updated again. Waiting for everything to import itself. And we just go to the different commands, which didn't need any update, so that is all done. And now, the only thing that's left is going to the Gradle tab, open in tasks, mod development, and run client to check if everything is working as it should be. Now we are in game and can check for the custom backpack if this updates. Can this store stuff as it should be? It does, in fact, store stuff, and it also contains this if we move it to other slots. So this works. Now with this, we've successfully updated Forge 1.21 to Neoforge 1.21.1.